Augusta is here, ruler of Septimon, Electro Broadblade user, Griffin Rider, and possibly your next main carry. But is she worth your Astrite? With version 2.6 around the corner, Kuro has already revealed both Augusta and Yuno. Their gameplay dropped earlier than usual, giving players a better idea of what to expect and whether they should pull now or save. Augusta will release first in Phase 1, followed by Yuno in Phase 2. In this video, we are focusing on Augusta. We'll go over her kit, how she performs in different content, how she fits into your account, and whether she's worth pulling. She might also be the most free-to-play friendly unit we've seen since Jian, someone who's strong, accessible, and easy to build around. Yuno will be covered in a separate video to keep this one short and to the point. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Kenzor. If you find these breakdowns helpful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps me reach my goal of 1000 subscribers. Thanks to everyone who's been showing up and supporting the channel. It means a lot and really helps me grow and improve with every upload. Now, let's talk about Augusta. Augusta is clearly built as a main DPS who thrives on extended field time. From the developer's livestream, we learned she can regenerate different types of forte stacks just by dealing damage and by using her intro skill. Based on the gameplay, it looks like the forte bar is split into two, one part building purple stacks, likely from her intro skill, and the other building gold stacks from dealing damage. Once the middle segment of the bar lights up, she gains access to an enhanced resonance skill that summons the Griffin for a powerful strike. It's more than just flashy, it likely marks a damage spike or trigger her transition into resonance liberation. Right after using the Griffin attack, she immediately enters that state, suggesting it may act as a bridge to her strongest phase. Her resonance liberation is where things shift. The devs confirm that she has two versions of this state, one of them more powerful, triggered by fulfilling certain conditions. From what we can tell, it could require using the Griffin attack after reaching full purple stacks, which are built up separately. It's unclear if the purple section can be charged to dealing damage and if it might require one or even two intro rotations to speed it up, since the purple bar appears to be split into two segments. That uncertainty adds some depth and possibly complexity to her kit. Once triggered, she transforms her Broadblade into a massive sword, giving her access to wide, sweeping attacks. She becomes more agile, and when entering her stronger resonance liberation phase, her movement becomes almost teleport-like. It's possible she gains immunity during these dashes, or that enemies are slowed or frozen, similar to Xianliao. If true, it could create new strategies or present challenges in content like Whimpering Waste, where wave timing matters. We'll need full release details to be sure, but there's clear potential for both exciting mechanics and gameplay surprises. One additional thing worth mentioning is that Augusta appears to give a shield to her teammates, as confirmed by the developers. There's also a strong possibility she may follow the same trend we saw with Zani and Cartetia, offering some form of damage amplification through her outro skill to the team. If true, this could make her even more valuable, as she'd contribute not only through her high personal damage, but also by enhancing survivability and boosting the overall performance of her team. Finally, let's talk about her damage type. With the latest update to Whimpering Waste, we've seen a new item that specifically boosts electro and heavy attack damage. Another big hint that Augusta's kit is centered around heavy attack. This is great news for free-to-play and low spenders, since Mortefi, one of the best units for amplifying heavy attack damage, is a 4-star and easily accessible. We'll dive more into her best team options later in the video. Before diving into each mode, it's worth noting that we originally expected Augusta to be tied to Electro Flare, a debuff mechanic similar to Spectrophrasal or Aero Erosion used by Zani and Cartetia. But so far, no unit in-game applies Electro Flare, and Augusta's kit doesn't seem to rely on it either. That's a big deal. It means she won't be locked behind specific sub-DPS setups and can be paired with a wide variety of amplifiers like Mortefi, Phrolova, or Yinlin, depending on how she scales. In Tower of Adversity, she'll need to handle both small mobs and tough bosses. Her wide AoE swings make quick work of enemy waves, but the real test comes with boss fights. This is where her resonance liberation could shine. If her teleport style attacks come with added immunity, or if she can slow down the boss, she might deal huge bursts of damage safely, even if she demands a lot of field time. That speed and potential utility could give her a major edge in clearing some of the tower's hardest floors. In Whimpering Waste, Augusta looks especially strong, at least for now. The current gold item that boosts electro and heavy attack damage lines up perfectly with her kit, giving her an early edge over other DPS units. Her ability to deal strong burst damage quickly means she can clear up waves fast, which is key for this mode. However, her long-term value in Whimpering Waste will depend on how future item rotations change. If the current buffs rotate out, it remains to be seen whether she'll still be a top choice. Another factor is her resonance liberation. If the time freezing or teleport mechanics interfere with wave spawning or delay skills, it could hurt her efficiency. But if everything flows smoothly, she might be one of the best characters to handle this mode's pressure, clearing waves before enemies can scatter around the map. As for hologram challenges, her fast combos and high burst damage seems promising, but it depends on how much freedom she gets during her burst windows. If enemies interrupt her too easily or if she needs too much time to ramp up, she might struggle. Still, her kit seems flexible enough to work in different situations, and with the right team around her, she can perform well. What's most exciting is that Augusta breaks the trend we've seen since the beginning of the game, and even more so after patch 2.3. With the release of Zani, who relies entirely on Spectre Frazzle, and Cartetia, who depends on aero erosion, we saw a clear shift toward mono-element teams tied to specific debuffs. These setups often limited flexibility and forced players into very narrow compositions. Augusta doesn't follow that pattern. She doesn't rely on Electro Flare or any other specific debuffs mechanics. This means she's not locked to a mono-electro setup and can work well with sub-DPS characters from other elements like Mortefi or Phrolova. Her flexibility in team building is refreshing and opens doors to more creative and accessible team options that haven't been possible with recent limited characters. That's why she earns a full 5 out of 5 in meta potential. Augusta's best synergy by far is with Mortefi. If you've been playing for a while and have him at S6, he becomes her ideal sub-DPS. His heavy attack boost by 38% plus 20% attack from his S6 fits Augusta perfectly, especially since he's a 4-star and most players already have at least one copy. On top of that, Mortefi pairs well with the free 5-star gun, Static Mist, which adds an extra 10% attack to the switch-in resonator. Phrolova is another strong choice. She provides a 25% heavy attack buff and solid off-field damage even though she's not Electro. Her consistent output makes her a better second pick than Yinlin in most cases. Yinlin still has value, but is better seen as a third choice. While she boosts Electro damage by 20% and Resonance Liberation by 25%, most of Augusta's damage, especially during her ultimate, appears to scale of heavy attack as hinted by Whimpering Waste buff rotation. Yinlin's Liberation might only boost the first hit when Augusta activates her Resonance Liberation, which likely won't have much impact on her overall damage. That said, the 20% Electro damage is still useful and helps support Augusta's kit. There's also potential for Yuno, who's coming in phase 2 to be a strong partner. The new Echo, Reminiscence Fenrico, boosts both aero and heavy attack damage, which may be a hit that Yuno's kit also revolves around heavy attack. She may amplify heavy attack for herself, or even for the whole team. If that's the case, Yuno could become a premium sub-DPS for Augusta, potentially outshining Mortefi depending on how her kit works. But for now, we'll have to wait for her full reveal. The big win here is that Augusta isn't tied to mono-electro setups. She works with sub-DPS characters from other elements, giving you much more freedom when building teams. Because of that flexibility and the fact that most players already have access to Mortefi, she earns a full 5 out of 5 for team synergy. Augusta is fairly accessible for free-to-play and low-spending players, but doesn't hit a full score. On the positive side, Mortefi, her best sub-DPS, is a 4-star character that most players already have, possibly even at S6. His weapon, Static Mist, is also free and synergizes perfectly with Augusta by giving her an extra 10% attack when switching in, making it a strong value pick over most free options. Aside from Mortefi, her other top partners like Phrolova, Yinlin, and possibly Yuno are limited units, which makes full optimization more gated. On top of that, Augusta does seem to lean heavily on her signature weapon for optimal performance. While I won't go too deep into limited weapons, since most new or returning players may not have any, one that's worth highlighting is Jian's signature Broadblade. It also boosts heavy attack damage and is likely Augusta's second best weapon after her own. If you already have it, it's a very strong fallback. For players who haven't pulled previous limited weapons, there are still solid free-to-play options to consider. Lustrous Razor, a free 5-star Broadblade, stands out as her best general use option since it's obtainable through the standard banner. That said, if you are deciding between Lustrous Razor and Static Mist is often the better pick due to its synergy with Mortefi's outro buff. When it comes to 4-star alternatives, the new Battle Pass weapon, Hunter's Grow, looks like a top-tier choice, potentially even better than its predecessor, Autumn Trace, which gives crit rate and heavy attack bonuses. After that, Waning Redshift and Helios Cleaver are decent fallback options, both offering moderate attack boosts and working well for general performance. Overall, Augusta earns 4.5 out of 5 in free-to-play friendliness. She's strong with accessible core tools, but her true peak performance will require a bit more investment. Augusta feels smooth and responsive, especially once she enters her Resonance Liberation state. Her animation flows well, and her kit doesn't rely on complicated setups or a strict echo set, making her easy to pick up even for casual players. That said, she clearly needs a lot of field time, so she works best in teams that let her stay active. One thing to watch out for is the Griffin-assisted slashes. While they look great, their long animations might leave her open during boss fights if they can't be cancelled or dodged out of. Still, these are smart concerns compared to how naturally she feels into on-field DPS role. On top of that, her Resonance Liberation adds even more to her ease of use. She becomes much faster with teleport-like moves that may offer immunity or even slow enemies. If that's the case, it could reduce the need for dodging entirely, letting you stay aggressive without taking unnecessary risks. Even if we don't have full details yet, what we've seen so far points towards a forgiving and rewarding playstyle. If you've played other Electro units like Xiaoliao or Carcharo, the Void Thunder Echo set will likely be a decent temporary option for Augusta. However, it's not worth investing Echo tuners or optimizing substats just yet. It's very likely that Augusta will get a dedicated Echo set tailored to her heavy attack playstyle once version 2.6 goes live. To prepare, you can farm the weekly mode Fantasies of the 1000 Gateways and collect unborn Echo boxes. This approach worked great for past limited units like Artetia and Phrolova, and it'll likely be the same here as the Echo boxes should update with the new sets once the patch goes live. If you are pre-farming for Augusta, this is the smartest part to take. All of this makes a very accessible unit, especially for players who want a reliable main carry. Because of that, Augusta earns a solid 5 out of 5 for ease of use. If you are in need of a strong on-field DPS, Augusta is absolutely worth considering, especially if you are a free-to-play or low-spending player. She's not only accessible but also easy to build around. What makes Augusta stand out is that she doesn't rely on Electro Flare or any mono-elemental lock-in. Her synergy with units that amplify heavy attack damage gives players a lot of flexibility when building teams, and since Mortefi is a 4-star that most players already own, you only need Augusta herself and a decent support to build a strong, effective team. She's also smooth to play, with fast animations and satisfying combos. Her Resonance Liberation may even come with immunity or time-slowing mechanics, which will make her even more forgiving and fun to use. In many ways, Augusta feels like an updated version of Jian, the limited aero DPS that launched with the game. Just like Jian, she's powerful, flexible, and not dependent on complex setups. But Augusta brings all of that to a new element, with fresh mechanics that cater to players who enjoy high-speed, stylish slashing gameplay. She's a great pick whether you skip Jian or simply want a long-term carry who's both strong and easy to use. If you already decided to pull for her, I've also made a full list of pre-farming materials you'll need, as confirmed in the livestream. We now know exactly what's required to level up Augusta and her skills, so you can start preparing right away. Is Augusta's signature worth pulling? Based on what we've seen, Augusta's signature looks like a must pull, especially if you want to get the most out of her kit. Like Jian, who gained a lot of value from his signature, Augusta will likely benefit from boost to heavy attack damage and overall consistency. If you want to maximize her performance and burst windows, her signature weapon is the best bet. That said, if you can't or don't want to pull for it, there are strong backup options. For free-to-play choices, Lustrous Razor is a solid 5-star option from the standard banner, but Static Mist often edges it out thanks to its synergy with Mortefi's Ultra buff to boost Augusta's overall kit. Among 4 stars, Hunter's Grow from the Battle Pass is likely top tier, followed by Autumn Trace. Waning Redshift and Helios Cleaver are decent fallback picks with attack boosts. Even without her signature, Augusta remains viable, but if you can grab it, it's likely to push her from strong to top tier. And if you already decided to go for it, here's something to help you prepare in advance. Since Augusta uses Broadblade, these are the materials you'll want to pre-farm to level her signature weapon. In my opinion, Augusta is one of the most exciting units we've seen so far. Not just for her style and gameplay, but because she breaks away from the rigid team setups we've had since launch. She doesn't rely on Electro Flare, and she's not locked into mono-element teams. That alone makes her a breath of fresh air. What really makes her stand out is how easy she is to build around. You pull her, pair her with Mortefi, a free unit that most players already own, and slot any support you have available. That's your core team, and that kind of simplicity and accessibility is rare for a limited unit. She honestly feels like the Electro counterpart to Jian. If you miss him or just prefer fast-slashing aggressive gameplay, Augusta delivers all the same value but in a different flavor. Whether you are new to the game or already deep into building teams, she fits right in. Just make sure your team has the right support in place, and be ready in case her true synergy partner drops in phase 2. Since we already know Yuno is coming right after Augusta, I'm also working on a full breakdown for her. If you are serious about pushing Augusta's damage, now is the time to think how you will round out her team. There's also a real chance Yuno could become Augusta's best in slot partner, especially if her kit enhances heavy attack damage for the whole team. So while Mortefi, Phrolova and Yinlin are strong options, it might be worth holding back on fully investing in them until we know where Yuno lands. If you enjoyed the video or found my thoughts on Augusta helpful, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I've got more content coming your way, including a full video on how Augusta and Yuno might work together as a part of the Sun and Moon lineup. So, what do you think? Is Augusta the first step in Kuro's character design that will finally move us away from mono-element teams and toward a more creative, flexible playstyle? Until next time, happy gaming!